welcome to Ash's Community Roundup, the show where we take a look at all the community happenings in the past month and see what's being said surrounding the Ashes of Creation development. I'm Wandering Mist.
And I'm Maezriel.
And we have lots to talk about today, so let's dive straight in. Maezriel, what have you got for us this week?
Yeah, I've got the creative director's letter, which Steven puts out each month, and I've also got a bit of a conversation about the cosmetic store that we'll dive into just a little bit.
Cool. And as usual, we had the development live stream at the end of the month, and also this month's dev discussion, which was login rewards, including a poll. So we're going to be diving into that as well.
Yeah, so to get us started, I'll go ahead and talk about the creative director's letter. If for whatever reason you don't have it in your emails or you just didn't feel like looking on their blog, it's mostly just a look back at the year 2020. So he goes over how back in March, they very quickly moved over to working from home. Some of the challenges they had for that, but he felt that Steven had felt it was far better than having his workers have to worry about where their kid's going to go while they try to go to the office and things like that. But they pushed forward. He was hesitant to try to hire new people, but his hiring manager pushed him to do it anyways. So they've been growing even throughout the pandemic. And all of this has been covered in previous director's letters. After that, he did the second half, which was looking forward, where he showcased the 4K footage for the boss fight, which we talked about in the last episode. No comments have really changed from that. It's still people kind of probably wondering, and I still haven't heard anything from this month, if Steven has decided if we're going to have a more BDO style combat. Maybe not mechanically the same. Some people have expressed concern against that, but where it's a little flashier and over the top than maybe as grounded as some people were originally thinking. And yeah, other than that, they're going to continue hiring, especially as they open a new office in Europe in order to help push for them being able to self-host out there following the separation of my.com. And as far as comments based on that, like most of the community is just wondering when the A1 is going to go back on sale. There wasn't a lot of discussion because it's the director's letter. We kind of knew what was happening. It's more just a summary of what was happening.
I think the main one there, the main takeaways are the potential. Want to stress that it is still just a potential for Alpha 1 sales to go back on, and also the new website, which we will talk about a little bit later as well.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that. Yeah, the new website should be going out, I believe, in March.
End of February, they said. But yeah, that was covered in more detail in the dev live stream, so we'll talk about that in a little bit. Right, cosmetics.
One person did seem to pull it together, and it was something that a lot of us who've been following the game got wrong. Even Jaylon, I think he is the longest running content creator for Ashes, got wrong, where we will not be seeing reskins or recolors of store items for us to obtain, and it's still not as up in the air, or it's still not as clear. We will maybe see some slight remodels of individual pieces. Don't go into the game seeing something from the store. So if you saw the Firefox armor set, or this last one, which I believe is an ice set, and go, oh, okay, I'll just not buy this and I'll try to grind for a similar looking set in game. Steven had said there will be no recolors or material swaps in the monthly cosmetics as a means to populate additional achievements. They do intend to use some of the store stuff, though, for NPCs and the like. So we might still see these sets. We're just not going to be able to access them.
I feel like we should have known about this before. And actually, through discussions on the Discord, it was on the wiki, from way back when. The wiki hasn't need to be changed because of this update. It's just we read it wrong and we were pretty much misinforming ourselves.
Yeah, that's where a lot of it came from. A lot of us heard similar or equal quality, and that's still up in the air because that's very subjective, so we don't know. Because I know in my head I'm pulled between I like a more minimal armor set, but if the better looking means flashier, then I don't know if I'm going to be as happy with it. So it's in the air, and a lot of people just didn't know. They misread that, or they were like, okay, because a lot of stores do end up doing that. I know World of Warcraft does that with some of their things, where you can get recolors of some items. Other MMOs might do the same, where you can try to find recolors. Personally, I honestly thought it just meant less particle effects. Like if you get this red one, you might be able to find a dyeable version that just doesn't have any particle effects or no wings or whatever special thing from the store one. Yeah, that's something definitely, if you waited to buy thinking you were going to be able to, I'm very sorry for that. I know that might have like agitated some people. If you were already not buying anything from the store, this might just kind of further cement that you'll just wait. Or if you do buy something from the store, it might be best to just go at it as I'm spending this money to support development. Anything else I get from that is just an extra cherry, which I think is how a lot of people, I'm loath to use the word justify, but how they go into that purchase.
No, that's fully understandable. Yeah. Cool. Okay, moving on then, we've got probably the most anticipated thing, which was the login rewards poll. As we mentioned in the last episode last month, Stephen had brought up login rewards during the December Q&A and was initially in favor of it, which sparked a whole host of discussions. The result here was that they did this month's dev discussion on the forums over login rewards and had a bonus poll as well. The comments on the discussion were pretty much the same as what we had before. There was people who were in favor of cosmetic only login rewards, but the majority of the people don't like it because of the fear of missing out and conditioning and as such. So they're very much out of that. And this is reflected in the poll, which as of recording this video, we are recording on the 8th of February. The poll is standing as 55% saying no login rewards at all, and 44% saying cosmetic only with a coin system is nice. So yeah, that's made it pretty clear, I think, that a lot of people have no interest in login rewards at all.
Yeah, I do remember some of the middle ground discussions. If I remember correctly, what happened on the Discord back when this very first started were ideas of like, instead of forcing you to log in each and every single day, which just kind of makes it feel like you can't have a life. Like obviously, a lot of people argue like, well, it's just a game. Prioritize your life better. But that's what FOMO does. It makes it feel like you're missing out if you do anything else. If you just go out with friends. WoW is really bad about that with dailies. At least it was back in BFA. Other games have been equally as bad. But yeah, overwhelmingly, it was mostly people saying logging in should be the reward in and of itself. Just because nobody really knows, like, if you're doing a login reward, what does that, I think it was a lot of people's questions, like, what metric are you trying to grow or track to need login rewards?
And that leads us nicely onto the developer live stream, which was on the 29th of January. And the first thing that came up was, of course, the login rewards and Stephen's response to that. So he basically came out and said that he wasn't aware of the stigma of login rewards and how they're used as a pressure mechanic and a fear of missing out mechanic. He just wanted to, quite innocently, I guess, just wanted to reward players for their loyalty, which that's fine, I guess.
I guess I could see that if you've only ever played Arc Age and you didn't like, Apex does it, you don't really have to do it, because it's just the idea that you're jumping in for a few games anyways and you can knock everything out. And a lot of other games do them, but a lot of bigger studios have gotten disgusting with it. But if you don't play those games, maybe you don't see it. I think that I can give him a pass on not knowing that.
Yeah, I can too. I can. He realizes now, and he said that they probably won't use login rewards and they'll instead think of some other way to reward players for their involvement of the game. Of course, Twitch chat very much approved of this. There's been many comments about that as well. One I just want to read out here is from the YouTube comments on after that VOD was uploaded on YouTube from TS, saying, Stephen up and changing his opinion on login rewards based on a discussion with other players epitomizes why I have faith in this game. Thanks, Stephen. There aren't many dudes like you. Best of luck. That's Stephen for you. He's the best salesman in the nicest possible way.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. It's one of the reasons I finally bought into the game. I've been following it for years before I even started talking on the Discord, let alone buy into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Definitely. Okay, so moving on from there, they talked about some more new hires and positions that are open. They've keep hiring and hiring more people, even though they're still working from home, and they're still waiting for the go ahead to move into their new studio. That may take some time with the current situation, but they'll keep us posted on that. So the main highlight of the dev live stream was, of course, the tropical biome footage slash walkthrough with the myth, the legend, Michael Bacon. Michael Bacon is the lead environmental artist for Intrepid Studios. He's formerly worked on games such as EverQuest 2, so he's got a good pedigree and he does amazing work. He is basically responsible for all the amazing landscapes that we all gush over because they are so beautiful. So yeah, that was great fun to watch, and a couple of things to note about that footage in particular. First of all, we saw, I think for the first time, one of the monthly cosmetic costumes actually rendered in game. Can't remember what the name of it is, but it's from the November 2019 set. So that was really cool, seeing that in game. The other thing was Stephen, in his usual sporadic fashion, he was riding his mount, he jumped off a cliff into water and took full damage while going into water, and this has sparked off quite a few conversations both during the stream and afterwards. There's in fact a forum thread about that, and I feel like a lot of people are in favor of it. So for example, Void Walkers says, "I'm just glad that full damage on water is not 0. Can't wait to see loads of people coming from WoW and Guild Wars 2 jumping off cliffs thinking it's safe. I assume it's perfectly fine to scam, trick people into taking a dive and then loot their corpse. Speaking of fall, if I knocked a non-combatant off a cliff and he dies from fall damage, does that count as a kill / do I get flagged as corrupted?" And that's a whole nother thing.
Oh yeah, that's a discussion I hope we can have, because I know something that's always frustrated me with World of Warcraft, like you can do it in some PvP settings where you can like yeet people off of a cliff, but I would love it if mobs can be the same and they actually take fall damage, because that kind of I feel like rewards player creativity in a way that a lot of MMOs don't. Usually mobs don't take fall damage as a way to make sure that you don't accidentally gain kills for stuff. You can't cheese it, but if it's just for that one small quest, I don't think it would be that big of a deal.
I don't know if mobs will take fall damage, but players certainly will, and Stephen did confirm that the chat asked afterwards, is this a bug or is this an intended feature? And Stephen did confirm, yes, it is an intended feature for players to take reduced fall damage in water, but they will still take damage, just not as much as if falling on land. A couple of other tidbits they had during that footage: 18 different biomes, which is a crazy amount. I don't know how they'll manage to do 18 unique looking biomes, but that's what they said they're going to do. And of course, during the whole thing, Stephen was riding around on a variety of mounts, and there was lots of talk from the Twitch chat about the mount animations and how good they were, sort of swapping between. He did a bit of swimming with the mounts and how they would swim through and how they would walk around as well. There was a lot of that going on, so that was really cool.
Yeah. Now, I do have a question based on, because I didn't see a lot of conversation on it. When you very first start in the tropical biome, you're kind of surrounded by flowers and grass. What is your opinion for how dense they've made AOC? Just if you go back to like any kind of modding of Fallout 4, Skyrim, other games, or even World of Warcraft, one of the first things you should remove if you're looking to play competitively is ground clutter. Are you fine with how dense they've made it as long as there's an option to remove it, or would you have rather like maybe a little less on screen?
I liked the way it looked there, and this, some people did bring up in the comments section about the sort of the state of the world and the amount of foliage in it, and also the amount of mobs. In the comments sections on the YouTube video did point out that, oh, there's not many mobs. Got a couple of quotes here. Barhammer says, "Please make sure to fill this world with a lot of interesting things. Reward exploration with interesting NPC encounters, quests, items, achievements, etc. A big, beautiful world deserves that. It would be sad if it felt really empty." Anthony Passmore says, "It's a gorgeous looking world, but looks so freaking barren. Not an enemy or NPC or sign of life anywhere." It should be noted that Stephen actually did address this in the live stream. So he said that the way their development works is, first of all, the environmental team goes in and they make the world, right? They want to wait until each biome is sort of near completion. We're talking sort of 80 to 90% completed, and that the environmental team are happy with it before they start populating it with all the mobs and treasures and NPCs, etc. So that's the reason why in that footage it did look kind of empty and barren.
Yeah, it would really suck if you realize you have to add a tree or move a rock down a few degrees and it breaks the pathing on 10 different mobs. That's usually like the last thing. It would be populating everything, watching how that goes, and then releasing the game.
Cool. So after the game footage, they did a quick sneak peek of the new website that is coming late February. It looks fantastic, and the chat very much approved of it. The shop is also going to be redesigned. The forums won't be initially. The forums are staying the same. The visual update for that will come later. But there will be a number of perks for the website, including being able to log in with, say, your Google account as opposed to Intrepid account, and linking everything together. So there should be a lot more implementation for that, which will just make things easier. But yeah, so we'll have to see what that is. But the website itself, from what we saw of it, it looked lovely, and it does address the issues that myself and a lot of people have with it, of the lack of useful, actionable information for new players. So that will helpfully help out the community a ton. Then after the website sneak peek, we had some 3D renders of the ship, one of the cosmetic ships. Again, I can't remember the name of it. And the turtle mounts, we saw that 3D rendered as well. It is looking fantastic. We also saw some elven female hairstyles, which the community had been asking for. Very much approved of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I know I saw bits and pieces of that was on the subreddit, and I always love what people post. But you reminded me with the elf hairstyles, there was a very small discussion where some people had, because obviously we've all talked a lot about the dwarves and how they kind of just look like waist-high humans. Like there's a stockiness that's missing from them that almost every other fantasy genre pulls from. But some people have pointed out that the elves are just going to end up looking like humans. Like maybe the humans are a little too thin to help distinguish them against elves, but like there's nothing really defining about them like there is in like World of Warcraft, where like the massive ears and the deep purple skin. Did you ever catch any of that conversation? I wish I had caught some of it. Like I don't remember where I saw that.
Yeah, though. It's a recurring topic on the Discord. Yeah, and I agree, to the point where in the earlier gameplay footage that they showed, there were elves in that, and I didn't even notice. Like, I legitimately thought there were only humans and dwarves, but there were elves in there as well.
Yeah, for me, even with the orcs, like there's it's like everybody. Like I know this is supposed to be a post-apocalyptic world, but everybody's malnourished.
Yeah, a little bit.
I think this is just my view personally. I think if they went in and they bulked up the humans and they bulked up the orcs, made sure the orcs stood a little tall and bulked them up, I think that would help distinguish them against something like the elves, which are supposed to be lighter and fairer. I don't think they necessarily have to go in drastically different colors, but I wouldn't be opposed to it. That's not necessarily a World of Warcraft thing. That's something that's been... Tolkien didn't do a lot of wild variety of colors, but the Forgotten Realms has been doing wild colors forever. Elder Scrolls hits it really well with how to distinguish the elves. And a lot of that's just in build. Like you put a Nord against a Wood Elf, you can tell real quick. So I wouldn't mind seeing like physically some more differences. And gosh, I would love to see some of these things bulk up a little, like hit the gym.
Yeah.
Not dwarves. Dwarves need to hit the bar and get that belly coming out. It's they very thin, which I remember we talked about that last time as well. That was another thing that Steven had heard community feedback on. Was like, all right, yeah, we'll change that. So to their credit, they are willing to listen. If you guys don't like how something looks right now, start up the post and we'll see what happens conversation wise.
Yeah, and feel free to let us know in the comments section below what you think each race should look like in game. how you would differentiate between each individual race, because they do need to be visually different.
Yeah, and this wraps up our talk of the last month. Join us next month where we talk about this month. I know that's very confusing, but yeah.
Yeah, we'll be back next month talking about everything that happens in February, so stay tuned for that. Until then, guys, have a fantastic day, and we'll see you next time.